Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome to you. A snowy Tuesday in Pittsburgh, PA on a December 19. Suze, you there?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
There is Wisconsin.
And what? Are you in Wisconsin?
Yeah. When you say, are you there, I'm just telling you yes, but that doesn't necessarily tell you.
No, that's true. I didn't know you were in Wisconsin. And
Wisconsin.
That is what you said. You said Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said.
I'm sure I did. I've been here so much that's what I sound like. Wisconsin.
Okay, so let me tell you something. I happen to be watching. What was I watching? Oh, yeah. The NBC Nightly News for some reason last night. And they had a story out of Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes, I saw it.
Okay, well, that was so... That's when I turned it off after that because I was so...
Upset?
Yeah, so let's tell people what that story was about. They were interviewing students at the University of Wisconsin in Madison and people who voted for Joe Biden in 2020. And I think to a person, because I think I bailed out before the...
No, see, you should have stayed with the story. You would have felt much better. So the first couple of interviews they did, I agree, were stupidly wrong. Yeah, I voted for him because the other guy, blah, 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 but because of the Middle East, Israel. No, I can't do that. I can't vote. I can't. I can't.
Yeah, yeah.
But they ended with three people. Young men sitting around, and they all, nobody was enthused. Two of them were not enthused about Biden. The third said, I don't know, he thought that he'd done a pretty good job. And he said, look, it just comes down to this.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you like Biden. How do you feel about the other guy? And all three of them said, of course.
Okay, well, so it shows I shouldn't have bailed.
You shouldn't have bailed on the story, but boy, I agree with you. Halfway through, I was terrified.
Yeah, and there's poll after poll showing this.
No,
young people are, and I'm thinking, well, they're young. When it comes in a year, less than a year, God help us, next November. They'll be looking at a ballot that says Biden, who they don't like, or Trump, or they could do, what people do, and especially people who have no understanding of history, they could go to Cornel West or the Green Party or Robert Kennedy and throw their vote away, being principled. So it scares me that they have no sense of.
Well, but honestly, it is understandable if you haven't lived as long as some of us had, and you don't have the sense of history and the perspective that we have, and all you're seeing is Israel, and you have no concept of geography, and don't realize that Israel is the speck in the middle of the enemy. If given all that, which I think is true for, probably about 95% of them, all they're seeing is Israel in the horror of what they are doing. And make no mistake, what they are doing is horrible.
Horrible. Okay. So
I'm just saying, I can understand that,
yeah, but
although I don't agree with them, how they come to that.
They've also been indoctrinated over the years, and have really no sense of the history there. So that, this leftist kind of indoctrination that so many of them have been fed about
that we're the
Israelis.
oppressors.
They are Jews. It's not Israel. I mean, it's
Jews. This is an anti-Semitic indoctrination, whether they know it or not.
Jews are oppressors.
Yeah.
And that this should be something that becomes a truth to otherwise intelligent people who are aware.
It's a truth to young Jews too. This is not.
I know. I know. The self-hatred shit. Yeah.
They don't even know that that's a part of it.
How are a people who were the victim of the most industrialized genocide in the history of the world in 80 years ago now are oppressors? It's an amazing feat, I must say.
Of hatred over reality, yes.
Well, okay. So the young people scare me. I hope they come through in the end. Because we are, you know what, if they don't. I rarely am watching television at night unless I'm streaming some show to get my mind off of things. But I happened to see the beginning of Rachel Maddow's show last night, and boy, oh boy, was it great and chilling. She essentially asked the question. Well, she started with something that really I had not seen aggregated as she had. The number of bomb threats being called into synagogues and Jewish all over the country. Synagogues emptied out, Jewish buildings emptied out. It was one thing after another, and also how in the South it's not just Jewish things. It's bomb threats to airports. Whoever these guys are, they're intent on just total disruption. So we have domestic terror going, really happening here now. And media, really, local media pays attention, because if your local synagogue gets, hit, then that, but she aggregated it. And then she talked about Trump and his, Hitler quotes. And she says, she asked the question, why would you use that kind of rhetoric when we know where it comes from? We know what it begot. And yet he uses it, and he's doubling down on it, and he's leaning into it, and he's owning it, and his base is loving it. And she says he's doing it because it works. It works.
Well, wasn't Mein Kampf one of the few books he claims to have read?
Yeah, which I'm sure he didn't, but he kept a copy of it. According to Ivana, he kept a copy of it next to his bed, or quotes from Hitler's speeches or something like that. So, of course, he would love Hitler. He's an authoritarian. I mean, he's a wannabe. He goes. Nothing excites him more than strong men. But her piece last night showed that as her book, she has a book out, I believe it's called Prequel. And it's American history that we haven't been taught, because it shows how America has always had a sizable population that is ready, willing, and able to jump on the fascist bandwagon. In 1939, millions upon millions of Americans were all into Adolf Hitler. And we know that most Americans don't know this, I guess. And a lot of members of Congress, senators and representatives, were just full on fascists. Some of them actually working for Hitler. We don't know this. And it totally
brings to mind today.
Yes, not understanding our history, and that this strain of yearning for an authoritarian figure who will exterminate the other, the foreign, this resonates. It resonates with a lot of Americans. So Trump's doubling down on it because it's worked in other countries, and it's worked up to a point in this country, and it looks like America might be ready to try a full embrace. It was chilling.
Yeah, she's scary because she's
scary because she knows.
She puts together facts that, scare the wadding out of you.
Yeah, she is. She's a true teacher. And I gotta read her book, even though I don't want to, because I think I know. I mean, I always thought I knew more than most Americans about this tendency because of our dad making us know that.
Right.
Talking about Father Coughlin and how his family, you can imagine this family of immigrant Jews sitting around their radio in the 30s, listening to this just constant diatribe of anti-Semitism. And it was, I believe, one of the most popular radio shows in the country. And it was just about Jews being evil and the source of everyone's trouble. But most people don't know it. Most people don't know.
Well, it's like focusing in on someone else's history is not the normal thing to do. Delving into the tragedy of someone that isn't of your tribe is not necessarily something you do.
I was thinking about this leftist crap with the colonial. You're either an oppressor or not an oppressor.
Right.
And their whole simplistic idea of who an oppressor is, it leaves out if you're white skinned, you're gone. You're finished. You are an oppressor, whether you're homeless. I'm thinking of all the homeless.
Because you could have been.
Right. You are privileged. Yeah, they're privileged. The absurdity of an ideology that is based on something that we know does not even exist, race, skin color, which is also a made-up construct. We know that's true. And then they take it and say, you got white skin, you're an oppressor. What about all the, I don't think they ever talk about Asians, these guys. They only see black and white, literally.
Right. No, they do. Do
they ever talk about Asians? I've never seen how Asians fit into this.
Well, because they aren't interested. Doesn't look like them.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe Asians turn out to be privileged too.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because they're sure doing well.
Right. There's actually evidence that they are oppressive. Some of them.
Our brother is fond of pointing out how, it used to be that, in an orchestra, it was like tons of Jews, and it's not anymore. It's tons of Asians, and how the highest performing students were often Jews. That's not the case anymore. They're Asians. And I say it's this classic thing that happens with waves of immigration. The immigrants strive. The first generation strive.
Well, right. I was going to say their work ethic is much stronger the closer you are to immigration.
Of course. So the work ethic, the need, the assumption by the immigrant parents that their children will do well. And that is something that Jewish kids got, believe me, and Asian kids get, believe me. And that's an immigrant experience.
But they're delivered differently.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, because culturally that the cultures share that, but they don't share a lot of other stuff.
Right.
But you can see if you're a sort of a native-born white person whose family has been here forever, watching these different people come in and run circles around your little white kids often, that you would be pissed. Wouldn't you? You would see them as interlopers, as taking something.
Well, you could have been a valedictorian if all those smart kids hadn't moved in.
That's right. But I just think you were saying before that we all see things, and you have to expect people see things through their own experience, their own lens. And I'm just trying to imagine that, you would see. You drive through CMU's campus, you'd think you were in Beijing. It's rare you see a white person say, "Hey, a white person, yay!" And you think that doesn't feed into this willingness to get back.
Well, there's been a lot of hullabaloo among the Asian cohort about the backlash against them, precisely because of this achievement among colleges and everything else, and that there's quotas because they skew everything.
There are, and affirmative action has whatever. All I'm saying is this is complicated, which is something that the geniuses at the universities seem to be unwilling to acknowledge. I was reading this one column about, for instance, if you want a just classic example of this stupid Manichaean black or white crapola, you can find no better example than the Columbia School of Social Work in New York City. They're the ones who came to our attention when one of their student groups, the Columbia Social Workers for Palestine, announced a teach-in about, and this is a quote, about the significance of the Palestinian counteroffensive on October 7th.
Right, a counteroffensive, right.
That's how they saw the rape of women and the just summary execution of civilians, old people, young people, the shooting of whole families. that was a counteroffensive. And these are students who are going to be social workers.
Right. Unless you're Jewish.
I guess unless you're a Jew. Right. God forbid they should have. I'm not going to help that person. They're an oppressor. Why should I help an oppressor? As soon as you get to the Columbia School of Social Work at Columbia University, you are given a glossary of terms that you'll be hearing, and so that you'll understand the gibberish that you're hearing. And well, just starting with A. An agent of oppression is a member of the dominant social group privileged by birth or acquisition, who consciously or unconsciously abuse power against the members of oppressed groups. And again, they define who is oppressed and who is oppressor. The more I read about it, the more I thought, this really is a kind of crazed indoctrination.
Yeah.
Of seeing the world in such a cartoonish manner. It's almost like it's akin to bumper stickers. I don't know. And one of the students who turned out to be a Jew said, I don't know, is this a school of social work or an indoctrination agency? We're missing the purpose. It's not our purpose. Just saying. I'm so sick of it. You know what else I'm sick of? And this happens every year at this time. Lists.
Oh, God. I am too.
Lists.
Little lists and big lists.
Yeah, I want to make a list of all the lists. The worst lists. God. Here was something funny I found. Forbes magazine, they always do this list. Well, it's a kind of list. They do 30 under 30 list. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So who's in there?
Well, up and coming people who you got to watch this person. Wow. Well, I'm not even going to talk about who's on it this year. I'm going to talk about who's been on their 30 under 30 list in the past.
Okay.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Of course. The Wonder Kid.
Yeah, who's on his way to jail. Martin Shkreli, who I believe has just gotten out of jail.
Oh, that scum. Oh, God.
That scum. Remember him?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Holmes, who's in jail. I mean, if you look
Lisa, I'm having a baby, so I won't have to go.
I have to tell you, it goes on and on. These are the people we were told in years past on there.
Okay, well, this is like, there are some things that history tells us you don't want to be a part of. Clearly, you don't want to be on a list of 30 under 30. And the other thing you mustn't ever do is renew your vows on television, because you will you'll be divorced within a year.
What happened?
Anyone who is in any shame, there are some things that we know. You don't want to be on a 30 under 30 list. It's bad karma. And you don't want to renew your vows.
Okay.
Think about it. Why do you want to review?
Yeah, that's right. Well, they probably want to because things are getting shaky and they want to.
It's like when our last child, my husband's and mine, went to college, and I was noticing that a lot of our friends who were also having their last children leave were also getting divorced.
Well, that's what happens. Yeah.
And so oh, my goodness, that's my watch talking to us.
Jesus Christ.
didn't understand.
Well, screw your watch. God, I hate that.
It's now behind my back, pressed into my buttock.
Shut the F up. God damn. When inanimate objects start yakking at you, jeez. I refuse to get comfortable with that.
I don't like it either.
Okay, well, so go ahead.
So I went to, Eric was lying abed one evening, and I went in with a 3-inch nail and a hammer, and I told him to put his hand on the nightstand.
Oh, Jesus, so bad.
And he just looked at me. I said, "You ain't going anywhere." And he started laughing. I didn't touch him, but I was just making a point.
God. Okay.
That's a true story. I mean, he laughed.
But
I guess we had a weird marriage.
Well, yeah, but there's also this thing about, that seems crucifixion-like.
Oh, it does. I know.
Yike! But I know how your head works, so yeah, I get it. Good God in heaven.
Well, we grew up in the same house, so my head can't be all that far from yours.
Milton says, haven't heard much about what, in my opinion, is the scariest thing Trump stated that he will do if elected. This is from his speech in Iowa on Saturday night. If this doesn't scream Hitler-esque SS, I don't know what does. Okay, here's the quote. I am also going to indemnify our police officers. This is a big thing, and it's a brand new thing. And I think
indemnify our police officer? Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. I'm going to indemnify. Does anyone in his crowd know what he's talking about? Does that mean hold them unaccountable?
Well, if they get sued, indemnify means hold them harmless, but only monetarily. It doesn't.
Okay. So it's protecting police officers.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right. But if they murder someone, they aren't covered. That's not indemnity.
Wait. I'm going to indemnify through the federal government all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong action against crime. Oh, I bet that got a big...
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of police going to jail these days for murdering people. Yeah, them's the...
Hey, speaking of that, that's a good segue into an obit I wanted to share of a guy that I had never heard of. Paul Shevigny, I think. How would you pronounce Shevigny? Yeah,
Shevigny, because that's all but Savigny.
Shevigny, who knows how he pronounced it. Anyway, that's who it is. And I had never heard of him. But the headline says, Paul Shevigny, an eminent voice against police brutality, dies at 88. And what an interesting character. I just loved reading this. I just so love obits. And so many people lived interesting lives. He had 1964. He's working on Wall Street. He's a lawyer, I think, graduate of Harvard. He's on Wall Street, living the good life. And he up and left that job to volunteer for the Freedom Summer of Civil Rights Activism in Mississippi. 1964. He could well have ended up dead, right? Because a lot of them did. Yeah. Gives up a corporate job, goes down there, and what he saw and what he experienced changed his life. He never went back to corporate law. And in fact, he went back to New York and he opened something that he called the Harlem Neighborhood Legal Assistance Project. And he did nothing for the rest of his life but try to hold police accountable. He wrote a book that I guess is called the seminal book on abuse of policing called Police Power. And that was in 1966. He begins working for the ACLU. He's doing all, he becomes a professor at NYU. He defended the Attica prison rioters. He defended the Black Panthers. And people who worked with him said he was like Columbo, you know, the television detective played by Peter Falk.
Yeah.
He always seemed like distracted, disheveled, and you wouldn't think there was much going on. And here's one quote from his bio. He was always shambling around until he was standing on your throat. When I was a young lawyer, I went to see him argue a couple of cases. On the way to the courthouse, he'd say, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then he'd stand up and deliver this brilliant argument. So he's that kind of a character. He sued the New York City Police Department over their surveillance of political activity. And this is reminiscent of, you know, the FBI and Hoover's FBI.
Right.
They actually had, the New York PD had something called the Red Squad. And it started by surveilling, you know, people they thought were commies. And then just, of course, grew and grew and grew so that they were accumulating dossiers on people who attended anti-war protests, people who signed petitions, people who'd written articles or even showed up at a meeting. The NYPD had your name and had a dossier. And it took him more than a decade of litigation, and the city finally ceased and desisted. And he said, you know, who's guarding the guardians? Who watches the people who are watching us? He also, you know how you're told, I know the ACLU will tell people, you are within your rights to film an officer, you know, engaging with somebody else, because people used to get arrested for that. Yeah. And it's a case he did in 1977. He won that right that we now all, I think, take for granted. That the right for observers of police actions to take pictures, write down badge numbers, and make comments without being harassed or arrested. That's his doing. And he said, you know, the cops themselves, he said, are in an impossible position. And he said this, it seems to me that police abuse is the result of systemic social problems. And society just isn't generous enough to solve these inequalities. So it calls on the police to do its dirty work. And I think there's a real truth in that.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you expect them to be mental health experts. You expect them to keep their guns in their holsters when everybody out there has to be assumed to have a gun.
That's right. No, we created
this problem,
and we won't solve the problem. So we just tell the police, you deal with it, and they're not set up to deal with much of it. Anyway. This is the greatest part of the obit. In middle age, Mr. Chavigny took up tap dancing.
Good for him.
I just love them. I love them. Oh, made my day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a great outlet. I mean, and, I would think tap dancing for him is like boxing for me. It makes him smile. It takes out a lot of aggression and energy, and it's just good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one list I'm going to share a little bit of, because I appreciated somebody actually trying to whittle this one down. If you think about deplorables of the year, how long a list is that?
Oh, I think what's her name from Montana wins, Boebert.
No, she's in Arizona.
No, she's in Arizona. Okay.
Really? You think she wins?
Oh, she's so
but she's not as consequential as some of the others. I think you have to.
If we're thinking about consequential people,
Well, yes. So what this is Charlie Sykes' list, and he says he puts limits on it because he says you can't. He doesn't allow. Where is it? Okay, he says. A quick reminder that the list does not include lifetime deplorables.
Like Trump.
Yes, exactly. So Trump's not on the list because
he would win every time. No, that's what I mean.
Right.
I was leaving out all the lifetimers.
Well, so maybe her too. So you can put her on, and you can put Marjorie
Taylor Greene on. Yeah,
you just put those people on. I can think of a lot of others. But
what about George Santos? Did he put him on?
Well, he's got him on the list. Okay. And George Santos has never been happier. He's showing up everywhere because
I know
he's just like an entertainer now. Because
now he's got a job being George Santos.
Yes, I know, and he's laughing and loving it, and he's getting. It's like,
all the way until he gets found guilty of some of these crimes and he lands up in jail.
That's right. So, but up until then, man, he's raking in money and he's really enjoying a lot of attention. He's having a ball.
I know, but he's nuts,
Because in this, actually, the most recent interview we did, the interviewer said, "What advice do you have for for someone who wants to run for Congress who has a severe personality disorder?" And you know what he said?
What?
He looked at her, this woman who was asking the question, and he said, "Oh, you're cute." And he turns to the production staff. He said, "I love her. She's cute." So he doesn't answer it, but he gets a kick out of it.
Yeah.
It's just, he understands that Americans are not serious people and they like to laugh and they are willing to view everything as entertainment.
Yeah, but there is a time. I mean, I'm like that, but there's a time when you have to be serious.
Yeah, there is every once in a while a time. Yes, folks. Okay, he has on his list somebody we forget about who is, I think, a lifetime deplorable, Stephen Miller.
Oh, no, but he keeps going away and popping up again just because, he never really goes away.
Yeah, no, just because we're not paying attention.
Right.
So listen to this. He uncovered something. He was Trump's biggest advisor on immigration. And listen to this. This was in Rolling Stone. A former Trump Department of Homeland Security appointee, Miles Taylor, wrote about it, about a conversation in which Miller, this is 2018, advocated an attack on a migrant ship full of unarmed civilians heading toward the United States. And he said Miller argued for the potential mass killing of civilians by suggesting, hey, they're not protected under the U.S. Constitution because they're in international waters, so we can just take them out.
Talking about personality disorders, that man is.
Oh my God!
But everybody that is evil is not necessarily crazy.
No, that's true. Absolutely true.
He's just evil.
Evil.
And self-hating.
Yeah. So also on his list, he has RFK Jr.
He's also nuts. It turns out to be a list of crazy people.
Well, okay, and next is Rudy. Is he crazy?
He's just, he's in an alcohol-hazed dementia phase of his life.
Oh, man.
I mean, he's really, right. These are all impaired people. I'm just saying.
Here's someone who's not crazy, Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House.
No, he's just a self-serving asshole.
A quizzling, a coward,
a
self-serving son of a bitch. Here's somebody who's not crazy, Steve Bannon.
Nope, same thing though.
He's got Mike Johnson, the current speaker, on the list. I don't know. Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, God. Well, everybody thinks that. Right. Everybody hates Vivek.
Lindsey Graham.
Oh, everybody hates Lindsey Graham, too. He's not crazy.
Yeah, he's not crazy.
He's just malleable. He's just like sort of liquid putty.
Greg Abbott, governor of Texas.
Oh, God.
What a vile man. He's only trumped by the Attorney General of the state of Texas, Ken Paxton.
Yeah, the two of them are a real pair. I mean, Paxton's glee in torturing women is amazing to me.
Yeah. Okay. And then he says the worst of the worst, Matt Gaetz. Yeah. J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Fox News. Tucker. Rupert. The whole bunch. Here's Tucker, by the way. Whoever knew, he's still out there. And he's now got some stupid little show. And here is from episode 51. Here's Tucker's quote. It's becoming obvious that the U.S. government has made contact with non-humans. So why are they lying to us about it? Tommy Tuberville.
Oh, well, oh, God.
Okay. You can't, but the list is endless.
I mean, why didn't he just put the Republican Party on there?
Well, that's right. Why not? Because I'm wondering if, because he goes on, hey, how about Christian Ziegler? That guy? He's the former head, I believe, of the Florida,
yeah. And his wife, the moms for... Liberty, right. Who's against LGBTQ, stuff, and they're in trouble for being in a threesome. I just love it. Every single time you got people going after groups, you find out that they're going after themselves.
That's right. So that woman, So she sits, the Moms for Liberty, she still sits on the board, I think the Sarasota School Board. And they've not told her to get lost. And she sits on that board. And there was a board meeting sometime in the last week. And a kid, well, I think he graduated last year. I know he graduated last year. He showed up to speak. And it's all over the internet. If you could see this speech, It is brilliant. He just said right to her. And he ended it with this. To be clear, you deserve to be fired from your job because you are terrible at your job, not because you had sex with a woman.
Good. Good boy. Good boy.
Yeah. This is a guy who
managed to get an education in spite of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was the valedictorian of his last class, and he's the first openly gay class president. And when he was about, the graduation last year, he said the principal called him into his office and told him that if my speech referenced my activism, because he's also a plaintiff in the Don't Say Gay, the suit against Don't Say Gay. If my speech referenced my activism, the administration had a signal to cut off my mic, end my speech, and halt the ceremony. So I
remember this at the time. This made news at the time.
Yes, this is somebody to watch. He is... his name is Zander, Zander, Moritz, Moritz. And man, somebody to watch. So he's on his way now to Harvard, where I hope he won't be indoctrinated into being an idiot. But he does want to be in politics. And maybe we can vote for him if we don't lose the democracy at some point. So I think yeah. Okay.
Don't you wish you could have seen her face as she had to listen to this kid?
Yeah, and they wouldn't let you see the face. You didn't see her. Susan, I'm looking at the deplorable list, and he made an earlier list that wasn't the top, but Lauren Boebert is on that list, and people I don't even know. I don't even know who these are, but they're all Republicans. You betcha, they're all Republicans.
I mean, you could have just said, the majority of the congressional Republicans,
or they're evangelical cranks. Wow. Yeah. It's just one after. Oh, no, he's got Brett Favre. That's good.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I'd nominate Aaron Rodgers if we're going for Packer quarterbacks.
Oh, man. So there was, I don't know if it's appeared in the hard copy. I don't think so. There's a guest op-ed that the New York Times, I think, is going to print that I read yesterday that I'm still, my jaw is still dropped. It's the most extraordinary bunch of crap I have ever read in my life, written by a guy named Matthew Schmitz. And it's about how Trump is not an authoritarian. He's a moderate. They published this. I just pulled a few little for instances out. Let's see. You can't make it up. Both sides consistently misread Mr. Trump's success. He isn't edging ahead of Mr. Biden in swing states because Americans are eager to submit to authoritarianism. And he isn't attracting the backing of significant numbers of Black and Hispanic voters because they support white supremacy. His success is not a sign that America is prepared to embrace the ideas of the extreme right. Mr. Trump enjoys enduring support because he is perceived by many voters, often with good reason, as a pragmatic, if unpredictable, kind of moderate.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
How did the Times agree to print this? I haven't heard anybody make such an argument. He says, can you handle more?
Sure, it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Even his most provocative comments since leaving the White House, that he would be a dictator for the first day, that Mark Milley, the former chair of the Joint Chiefs, deserves to be executed, likely mattered less to many voters than how he governed while in office.
Badly.
Inured to his braggadocio, they see him now as he was then, less an ideological warrior than a flexible-minded businessman who favors negotiation and compromise.
Oh.
How? I mean, the head...
Where did he get the compromise part? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Where did he get the...
He's just making up stuff.
Businessman. Where did he get... What?
Oh, ignore all those 91 counts. That has nothing to do with anything.
Oh my God. Just one more. I think this is toward the end. For those sincerely concerned to preserve our democratic traditions, there is no need to take drastic measures. As disruptive as Mr. Trump can be, his success testifies to American voters' desire for moderation and skepticism of extremist ideologies. In November, Americans may well decide that they again prefer Joe Biden to Donald Trump. But if the United States really is a democracy, they will be permitted to make that choice freely.
What the hell does that mean? Who's telling them they can't make that choice freely? He's saying already that the election will be rigged.
It's rigged. Yeah.
Who is this person?
And I don't know. His name is Matthew Schmitz, Schmitz, and he's founder and editor of an online magazine called Compact.
Okay, well, he's a crackpot.
Well, he's a crackpot who got an op-ed in the friggin' New York friggin' Times.
Didn't you say you were going to stop reading the Times? Maybe it's time.
I can't quit their puzzles.
I know.
Damn it. Yeah, they're horrible. I love the Washington Post. The Times is horrible. I mean, they have some really good work they do, but yow. I don't think they necessarily serve us well a lot.
No.
Yeah.
They're bending over, something's making them bend over backwards to represent all views, and, even when they are clearly ridiculous, and that's stupid.
Yeah, and especially at this consequential time in America. You know what I haven't said boo about? I have not said boo about the fact that what has to have been the worst, most do-nothing House of Representatives in American history. Packed up, and they've been on vacation now for over a week.
Yep.
And will be on vacation till next year. They managed to do absolutely nothing but put Ukraine at risk. They gave gifts to Vladimir Putin. They failed to make sure that the government will be that we're going to be right into a funding crisis when they get back again. But the one thing they managed to do, and they did it unanimously, that scrappy bunch, they voted to start the formal impeachment inquiry.
Oh, of course. Something important.
Into President Joe Biden. Even Fox News anchors, not all of them, but some of them, are
saying there's no there.
There's nothing there. What are they doing? What is the high crime and misdemeanor? They have no response.
He gave birth to Hunter.
Well, he didn't give birth. He helped.
He sired
Hunter Biden. I heard somebody put it. His high crime and misdemeanor is loving his son, his troubled son. That's it. That's his high crime. And it again is all part of this effort, I think, to muddle the minds of most people who don't pay much attention.
Right.
So that they keep talking about the Biden crime family, when quite clearly the Trump crime family is a reality.
That's right. I mean, it's just,
I mean, you know, it
gets exhausting. It really does.
It does. It gets exhausting. But I think Maddow was commenting on, the thing is, it doesn't matter if these are lies. It doesn't matter. You just keep it up. A lie repeated over and over and over again eventually
becomes the truth. Absolutely.
Right. And who it was it Goebbels who said that, you know, if you're going to lie, lie big, because people have a tendency to think, well, they wouldn't say that if it weren't true. And you repeat and repeat and repeat. So the Republicans, the now neo-fascist party in the United States, are employing all of the very successful techniques used by Hitler and his crew. And they have the added advantage of having social media, disinformation, Fox News, Russia and China working with them to spread all of this crapola around. And again, as I said, most Americans who, you know, are not inclined to pay much attention. And ultimately, this is on them. Ultimately, this is on Americans that we fail in our duty as citizens. You know,
to inform ourselves appropriately before we vote.
And this is the same crowd that is very successful at dismantling public education, and
rewriting history.
Right, and rewriting history and dumbing it down so that we probably have perhaps the most uninformed electorate ever.
Oh, but they can lecture you about the skill set that we granted the slaves.
What? Oh,
yeah. That's the Florida educational chapter on Black history.
Right, that the slaves got wonderful skill sets.
Yes. They benefited from it.
Yes. Dear God in heaven. Oh, okay, there's that. So Susan, how's Green Bay doing? Pittsburgh, you know, the big football city, as is Green Bay, and used to being, you know, storied and incredible. And man, I thought Green Bay was gonna, you know, pull off they've sunk into nothingness too. And how's it going there? You don't pay much attention to that.
Well, I don't know. I think there's always going to be grumpy people, but I think the majority of the comments and what I'm reading around here is that people are perfectly prepared to grant the Packers a year to rebuild.
A year? That's
just a year.
Generous of them.
I think so. A year or two, well, but I think that for the most part, and I also think that the defensive coach is about to be fired.
Okay, but I have to tell you too, at least the Packers have what appears to be a quarterback.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, the same could not be said of
No, and didn't you just lose a player for the year for something?
Yeah, for a hit, which I still don't understand what he did that was so wrong. I mean, I saw the thing and I thought, what was wrong with that?
Well, it was wrong enough that he's out for the rest of the season.
I didn't get it. Who can tell in this game of mayhem what is kosher and what isn't? I don't know anymore. I really don't. But I love these like upstart quarterbacks coming out of nowhere. Like there was one Seattle Seahawks knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, with their backup quarterback, right?
With their backup quarterback who hardly ever played in his. I mean, and he would. It's just I love that kind of thing. I love it. I really love it.
Yeah, when when everybody in the world is going, oh, now we're doomed, and then they come out and save the day. It's like, you know.
Well, I love those kinds of upsets.
Yeah.
And I love that a team like the Detroit Lions, who have never, ever known this kind, I mean, since what? Since forever. I love that they're just becoming a fierce power.
Since Johnny Unitas, you mean?
No, that was the Colts.
Oh, yeah, that was the Colts.
The only thing I can think of with Lane, I think his name was Lane. And I also think that's where Alex Karras played, right?
Yeah. But he was a better actor.
No, I think he was a hell of a football player, too.
Yeah, I do, too.
There are football players who have become really good actors. Name two. Alex Karras.
God, I know there's a bunch of them. There was they're really handsome, not OJ, really handsome.
Brown.
Yes, Brown.
I don't know if he was a great actor. Was he? Well, he was in The Dirty Dozen, and he was pretty good in that. But mostly he just looked, I think, handsome and menacing. Not James Brown. What's his name? Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, so oops, we're out of time.
Yeah, I wondered when you were going to notice that.
Okay, well, I didn't. I was looking away from the screen. Okay, well, nice talking to you, Sue.
Nice talking to you too.
Give Mom a hug for me. And,
I will.
Hey, is our brother coming anytime soon? Sorry for this.
Well, I told him that if he wanted to, he was welcome to. He said he might now wait until the 24th or the 25th. I said, okay, so whatever.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye. And goodbye to all of you. I'll be back tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.